Hello everyone, this is Dina. Welcome back to my channel about cross stitch. I hope all of you are doing well. It is Sunday afternoon, January the 19th, and I just wanted to share a few things with you. First of all, on Friday, while my puppy was at the groomers, I was called by Hobby Lobby and told that I had 2 of my finishes ready to pick up. If you will recall, I had done a little picture of a Christmas tea that had a mouse, 2 mice in it drinking tea. And so as a companion to that, I did 2 more of Brenda Gervais patterns that had these little mice in them for Christmas. And the first one is called Plum Pudding. And I know there's plastic on here, but I don't want to take it off because I'm ready to pack these up for the season. And this is already wrapped, so if you'll excuse that. But I just wanted to show you, I had it framed to match the first one that I did. And that was quite the story. I think I shared it with you that they only had 1 piece of mat board to match this beautiful red in the store, and they had actually purged it out of their system that morning. And they had 1 sheet of it they were gonna send back, and they were able to grab it and put in the computer a different mat that's the replacement for this. And they were able to sell it to me. So I did get it to match. Here's the second one. This is the Christmas piece called Merry Mouse. And this is the little mouse on top of the inverted Santa hat. So these 2 will be displayed next year with my other one that's already downstairs in storage. So I think that's really going to be precious. I had these framed in the same exact size, even though this one was about 3 stitches wider than this one. I just told them to take the measurements off of the widest one. So this one has just a little bit wider border than maybe it had to have, but I think they're gonna look really, really nice together. So I'm very happy about that, and I wanted to share those with you before I put them in my storage closet where I put my pictures that are out of season. Well, that was Friday, and I mentioned we took our puppy to the groomer, and so at the end of this, I will have some pictures of her with her new look, because this was the first time that we had Coco cut her hair cut all over. And so a lot of her brown fur is gone because the bottom of her fur is silver. She was actually looking like a lady whose roots were growing out. She had brown on the tip of her hair and silver underneath, and now she's all silver. Her ears are brown and the tip of her tail is brown. It's so cute. I can't wait for you to see it. And you will at the end of the video. Then what I'd like to share with you is that we had a stitching meetup yesterday. It was the first of our year of 2020, and we had 18 people show up, and I'm thrilled that we did. And I took this as I said I would, and I got the blue on that house done, which was a pretty good accomplishment for me, considering that I visited and talked with everybody the entire time, because it'd been 2 months of stitching meetups that I had missed due to retreats. In October, I was at a different retreat. I was at Stitch Fest, having a wonderful time. And then in November, I was at Sevierville. Both of those retreats were hosted by Katrina Boyd. Had a fabulous time there too. And so I had a lot of catching up to do. So I'll back up and let you see my first house is almost done on my little house Needleworks pattern, My Little Neighborhood. The other thing I wanted to share with you were a couple of gifts. Sorry for that hard break. My husband and Coco just got back from a hike, and they came in to see about me. So I had to take a pause. Well, in addition to stitching at the stitching meetup, I also was surprised to get some stitching kindness. And the first one is a pattern you'll recognize, Strawberry Fields Forever, one of the sweet ladies there brought this for me to either stitch or to give away or both. And so I'll look at this and determine what I'm going to do for myself, if I'm going to incorporate it into my stitching or if I'm going to pass it along. But either way, stay tuned, because someday down the road, this will be one of the charts that I do pass the stash. Then I got a belated birthday present from Donna of D Squared, and I want to share with you the beautiful memorabilia that she provided for me. This is Rose Arbor, and when she was looking and thinking about giving it to me, she actually sent me a picture of it, and she said, "Would you like to stitch this?" And I wrote her back and I said, "I love it. I think it's beautiful, but I'm not sure I want to stitch all that white." And so about the same time, we commented back to each other and said, we could always change the color on the dress. So I don't know what I'll wind up doing, but Donna went ahead and gifted this to me for my birthday. And I have already incorporated into my stash the other little things that she had in here for me. She had gotten me some ball tip needles and some beading needles. And so I have already put those away in my stash so I can start using them. Well, that's my report from my stitching meetup. So I guess the biggest thing I can share with you now is that in the coming week, I will just be evaluating all of the prompts in my various Facebook groups, deciding what I want to work on, what fits within the patterns that I want to continue working on this week coming up, and I'll update you as I go. If you recall, I'm having a wonderful day tomorrow while my precious puppy is having a little procedure done. My husband and I are going to meet friends for lunch, and these are friends that I have not seen in over 20 years. So I'm really looking forward to it, and can't wait to catch up. So I will talk to you soon when I have something else to share with you. I hope you have a fabulous week. Happy stitching, everyone. Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Dina, and today is the 20th of January. Hello, sweetie. I just wanted to share really quickly a finish with you. I have finished another one of the 3 little words from Lizzy Kate. This one is called Embrace the Journey, and it's one of her series that I've been working on a little bit at a time. I'm going to do mine as little separate pieces. So here's mine. Embrace the Journey. I changed the colors a little bit. I've announced those several times, and one of the things I changed was this amber of Weeks Dye Works so that I could have a variegated floss in here. But I'm thoroughly enjoyed stitching on it. My little one here had surgery today. One of those things you do so that you don't have lots of puppies coming along. It was actually a requirement of our breeder. Since we weren't going to breed her for him, we had to have her spayed today. And she's acting like nothing happened. She's just running around like nothing. And we're trying to keep her quiet and calm and, keep her from jumping and running, and it's almost impossible. But anyway, I'm so glad she did so well. We were both a little worried, and so I was really glad to get the call from her doctor that she did great. So she's at home. She's doing fine. I'm going to go play with her a little more. I'm trying to keep her low key, but I did get a chance to stitch today because she wasn't here. I also had told you I was going to meet a friend from years gone by, and that was great fun today. She actually asked me when we sat down to eat, she said, "I think I'm getting too old. I can't even remember how we first met." Her husband had asked her how we met, and she couldn't remember. So we had a lot of fun reminiscing about that. I did remember, so I was able to fill her in, and once we talked about it, it clicked her memory as well. But We talked for several hours. It was great fun. Our children are all grown and gone now, you know, from the nest. And so we had a lot to talk about. They're in the years where they're taking care of parents. Her parents are 87 years old, and they don't live very far from us. And so she and her husband are trying to visit them a little more often to take care of them. And so we were glad to know where they were, and that way if they run into anything where they need someone to put eyes on them or go to help them with something, they know we're here, and we could go over and take care of that for them, because they're such a far piece away, about 5 hours, I think. Anyway, lovely time today. It's been very productive in many ways. And so I just had to share my finish with you. And it's the third finish for the year. I'll see if I can get her into the camera. Hey, sweet girl. She got her first full haircut. Yes, she did. And she is almost completely silver now. So I mentioned that earlier, but I was hoping you'd get to see her, but I think she's a little shy right now. Doesn't want to come quite far enough for you to get to see her. Hey, well, I'm going to go take care of her. She needs my attention, and I'm definitely going to give it to her. So I'll talk to you soon, and happy stitching. Bye. Hi, everyone. This is Dina, and welcome again for an update on my channel of my cross-stitch progress. Today is Thursday. It's the 23rd of January, and I have been busily stitching for prompts over the last few days. And so I have not only finished a small that I shared earlier, but I have been concentrating on one particular project for several days. I think I have probably done about 5 different prompts on this piece, and it has been a surprise to me because it was one that I was stitching on and kind of just plugging away at, and it wasn't one I had fallen in love with to where I couldn't put it down. But now I have. I don't know what happened with it. I think part of it is I decided to go ahead and work all the way across the bottom and get a lot of the confetti done so that I could fast stitch the rest of it. But I want to show you how far I've come on 12 days. So all the 12 days are in this coat here. And I am only missing 2 of them right now. There's a geese laying that'll be right here, 1 goose representing them. And then over here is going to be my drummer drumming. So I have 2 of those left, and that will be all. So I'm very excited about it. Piper there, Lord a leaping, lady dancing, 8 maids a milking, and the cows looking back this way. The outlining is going to really make this pop. But one of the things I've noticed is that these gold rings, which I was able to finish, that's one of the reasons I had to stitch all of these things across, was so that I could get the rings positioned correctly because I was a stitch off somewhere. They're not showing up well once I start doing the background. And I stitched them as called for with 1 metallic thread, and it's not showing up enough. So I think what's going to happen the next time I pick this up is I'm going to have to stitch over the rings with the metallic thread one more time, just to make it thicker than what it's called for, just so it will show up. And then I can hopefully get my goose and my other individual person there. And then I can finish this corner down to the bottom. And I can finish my stars down to the bottom. And I have determined that I'm only going to do the border to the bottom where the stars end. The coat and the stars and all will end about, oh, I'd say around in here somewhere. There is a pretty floral border right across the bottom. And then it starts with this whole gold frame, gold and white. And I'm not doing that. I'm going to wait and do a matte, I think. But anyway, so I have a goal. I would really love to finish the actual cross stitching of this, possibly during the 24 hours of cross stitch if I can. If I can eke out 24 hours of stitching, I might be able to finish the cross stitch portion, at least of this bottom here. Maybe not the border, but at least to the bottom. If I get enough time and I don't get burnt out on it. Today when I sat down to stitch on it, I did feel a little bit like, oh, I don't really want to do this. And then I got started and I, just went crazy along and got this whole lady done. But we'll see. I'm not going to start on it in the 24 hours of cross stitch in the morning. I'm actually going to do some other goals first. And I have been kind of thinking and planning what I would like to do. And right now, here are my thoughts. I would like to stitch another one of Lizzy Kate's 3 Little Words. Depending on how much time I get to stitch tomorrow, I may either finish that tomorrow or it may take me all the way till Saturday to finish it. And then I would like to finish my prompts for my Superstitious Mountain Challenge in Cheryl McKinney's group. I have 2 more projects to stitch on, but I only have to get a minimum of 200 stitches in the 2 of them to meet the prompts. So depending on how that's going, I may just meet both prompts and then come right back to this, or I may determine as I am stitching that I need a break from this. So I'm keeping that option open. But hopefully in the next weekend, I will stitch on at least 3 additional projects, and then you'll get to see 3 more things. I'm sure you're getting tired of seeing this all the time, but I'm really excited about getting it closer and closer to a finish because I really want to finish this year. So thanks for letting me share this with you. I have one piece of haul to share with you. I finally decided to participate in a Fabric of the Month club. I've never done it before. I don't like fabric to be a surprise. I like to pick my fabrics. But the Picture This Plus one, I didn't know that they did this before. It just sort of came across my feed this time, and I was able to see it in an email that they would show the entire year what you were going to get. And the only one that's a surprise is the last one, your free one. And so I went ahead and signed up. So if you haven't already gotten your Fabric of the Month from Picture This Plus, then spoiler alert. But it's Heartland. And this is I have ordered a Lugana, so mine may be lighter than yours. And it is a 32 count. And I got a fat quarter, so I love this. It's an 18 by 27 piece, and I'm going to put it in my stash. And I'm excited because I have replenished my stash quite a bit when I kitted up so many projects, getting ready for my year of starts last year when I did 1 per month. And I've already started kitting up quite a bit for this year, for Mania and things like that. Because I wanted to be able to kit it up throughout the year because I'm in Stitch from Stash, so I have to parcel it out. So in the end of the year last year, I had so much money left in my Stitch from Stash budget that I could afford to sign up for a Fabric of the Month Club. So I did. So this is Heartland by Picture This Plus. I wanted to share that with you. All right, well, it is late here. It is after 11 o'clock, and I have an early day tomorrow. So I am going to go to bed and check on my little puppy dog when I get there. And I will talk to you soon. I hope you have a great 24 hours of cross stitch. I'll try to film a little bit as I go through it so you can go through it with me. But I hope that if you're doing it, that you hit 24 hours. Happy stitching, everybody. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Dina, and today is the 25th of January. This month is flying by. Anyway, this is my weekend that I'm participating in the 24 hours of cross stitch. And I can go ahead and tell you now, I won't make 24 hours of cross stitch. I have not been able to stitch much this weekend. My little puppy has been very much in need of attention, and my son has been working a lot this weekend and has not been able to spell me at all, and my husband's been out of town most of the weekend, so life has interfered, and that's okay. But so far, I have gotten about 10 hours of cross-stitching in on Friday and Saturday, which is pretty low for me when I'm trying to hit 24 before the end of the day tomorrow. That's not going to happen. But I will still stitch as much as I can. I had shared with you my plans that I had hoped to finish my Superstitions Mountain prompt, the 2 prompts I had left for the event in Sherman McKinney's group, and so far I've done one of those. But I've also done something else, another prompt as well. One of the prompts that I was working on involved my 3 pieces that I'm on the scavenger hunt with. You have to work on one of those 3 pieces. And so today, I stitched on Friends, which is one of my 3 that I wanted to work on for that scavenger hunt. And you have to do at least 300 stitches, you know, for them. So I did, and I actually hit 361 stitches for that. But then I went on and did another prompt, which is the first of the 2 I needed to finish in Superstitions Mountain, and I continued working on Friends. This will just remind you of what it looks like. And I just went on working on it because I had already started it, and for that prompt, we were to work on something that was going to be a legend when we finished it. And for me, this is going to be a legend simply because it's my first full coverage that I've ever attempted. And so I'm happy about that. I think for that reason, it met the prompt that I was working on. So let me show you where I got to. Unless you kind of look closely, you might not know, but so I'll tell you. I was working on this piece, and I was working my way across the top in this green leaves and red berries, and I had part of it done, but all of my stitching today were in these leaves, and I am happy to say I finished all of the leaves with my last prompt in my last group of stitches, which were these dark leaves right here. I hit the numbers I needed, and I finished off all of the green leaves at the top of that. So I will, next time I pick this up, be able to start working the rest of this piece from this doll head across, or I can come back over here and continue working, you know, just do the little doll first and then the doors, however I want to do it. The next hardest piece for me is going to be her hair. There are a lot of different shades in the hair, as you can see, and a lot of different color changes, so I have avoided it for a little while. There are just as many changes up here, but in a little bit bigger sections of blocks of color, so I went ahead and finished that. Of course, now that gives you the size as well, all the way across. So I don't think I'm going to have any chance of finishing this by her birthday because it's at the end of March. But I'm still going to work hard on it because it's in my scavenger hunt. And the more I get done on it, the less time it'll take me to finish it, you know, throughout the year. And I definitely want it done at least in time for Christmas this year if I don't get it for her birthday. So, but I wanted to show you the progress on that. And the other thing I wanted to share with you is a sweet gift, Happy Meal. And this gift came from a friend that I have formed online. One of my viewers and I have been talking back and forth via email and have just started really getting to know each other. And we wound up stitching a piece together right here. This is my happy place. That piece is the one that Glow stitched for me. And she has the one I stitched for her. So we decided to stitch it, and instead of stitching it for our own sewing rooms, we stitched it for each other's. And we talked a little bit about what colors we liked, and based on what we've seen each other stitch, we picked colors and whatnot. So we've been talking recently, and Glow has seen that I am stitching a series of Lizzy Kate's 3 Little Words, and she's liked them. And she just finished Dog Lessons for People. She has a puppy as well, so we have that in common too. And a lot of you have seen this Lizzy Kate, Dog Lessons for People. And I commented about how much I liked hers, and we got to talking, and we're gonna swap. So she has already sent me her pattern because she had finished it. She showed me her framing of it. It's lovely. And I have got 2 more of the 3 Little Words to stitch, and as soon as I finish those, I'll ship them off to her. So she went ahead and put mine in the mail for me, and I just love it. I think it's great. I'm sure you have seen it before, but in case you're new to the pattern, it says, Dog Lessons for People. Be loyal and faithful. Play every day. Drink lots of water. Forgive quickly. Avoid biting. When a growl will do. Sit close and listen. Follow your instincts. Give more than you receive. Take naps. Be a best friend. Love unconditionally. So sweet. Anyway, so I'm going to be putting this in my to-do for this year. But let me show something that's really sweet. This is the card that I got. Look at that puppy. This puppy looks just like mine, just like her. So sweet. It's so sweet. Glow, thank you. I love the card. I absolutely love it. I may have to frame it and put it up in my office. Anyway, it's just precious, and I thank you for your note. So with my pattern, we all know patterns can't travel alone, right? Glow sent me something that she had, I guess. She said she had it in her office and she found it. She wasn't going to use it. And she shared it with me, and oh my gosh. This is a 2020 calendar. Isn't it beautiful? And I want to open it and show how big each page is. I think it's fabulous. So, you got a whole page per day. I have a calendar, and I have this much room every day in a little square because I do a month at a glance. And then I have put pages behind that. It's over there, but I'd get it for you. That have a space, about this much space, for each day that I have been making notes about, you know, my checklist to do or whatever. I'm gonna get it. Hold on. So here's a calendar. It's a month at a glance, as you can see. It's pretty full, right? I have appointments, and I also have my stitching on there. But look at this. This is how I have to do my to-do list of what for each day I have to do. And so then when I flip to, let me go to a new month that's not quite so full. It's already starting to fill up because I have all my sales on there and I have my appointments on there. But I basically can only write down, like this says, home sale, FL for finish line. So on that day, I have to go over here to pages that I've added in that say this week. And I've written in the sale and what it particulars about it so I can, you know, figure out what to do. So when I need extra room, I've had to add these pages in. In this calendar, I don't have a whole lot of room to write on. And I'm constantly trying to figure out a way that I can take all the notes that I need to take for the projects I'm doing at home, at church, for stitching. And I've tried to resist having more than one calendar. I've actually thought about doing one of those journals where, like Pam from the Pam's Crafty Corner does, where she puts all of them together, little notebooks together. And I actually made one of those for my son a couple of years back for him to use, and I'm not sure he's using it. I may have to get that from him, but Glow has provided me the perfect calendar because I have a full page for every day here. And so, and it's small enough I can take it with me. So I think I'm going to start using this calendar right here to put all of my appointments and things that I need to tell me where I have to be when in here. All my things that I have to keep up with may have to go in here. And the little month at a glance could be just for planning. So Glow, thank you for this. I will be using it starting today. And then this was such a pleasant surprise. It's a matching book and it just says notes. And it's just a blank journal. It's just got ruled pages. So my guess is next year, this will become my stitching journal where I record all my finishes and things like that, or my planning journal or something where, you know, I do all my what ifs and this is what I plan to do and this and that and the other. But they're beautiful and I love them. Thank you very, very much. And thank you for my pattern. So that's my happy mail. Wanted to share that with you. It is already about 10:30 here and my sweet little puppy has gone to bed with my husband. They've already hit the hay. So I'm going to do a little more stitching and then I'll be joining them because I'll have a busy day tomorrow at church and everything. I'm hoping to get a little more stitching in tomorrow afternoon. We'll see. I may wind up having to pick a different weekend for myself just to see how much stitching I can get in, but it has been fun. I've already posted a couple of pictures of my progress over the weekend. I've worked on 12 days and I've worked on friends, and so now I'm going to get to pick a new piece to meet the last one of my superstitious mountain prompt, which was my first goal that I wrote down, or one of my 3 goals that I wrote down for my stitch-a-thon. I already know I can't do the 3rd goal, which is finish all the cross stitching on 12 days. There's no way I can get that done. I might be able to do another one of the Lizzy Kate 3 Little Words series. I might have enough time to do that. Or I might save that for next month and try to get some more work done on whips that I haven't touched in a while. It'll depend on my mood. But you'll get to see it. So good night, and I'll talk back with you hopefully tomorrow. Good night. Happy stitching. Hello everyone, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. This is Dina, and I am coming to you today on Sunday, January the 26th, in the midst of my 24 hours of cross-stitch marathon. I was able to get some stitching time this morning, and I wanted to come and show you what I've done so far. I'm by no means finished. I hope that I get a little more stitching time in this evening. But today I was working on 2 prompts in one of my Facebook group's weekly challenges. And the 2 prompts were stitch on a piece that has an imperfection in it and explain what the imperfection is, and stitch on a piece that reminds you of your home. So I did both of those prompts on one piece, which is My Little Neighborhood from Little House Needleworks. And I finished between the 2 prompts all the blue, light blue, on the front of my blue house. So let me start by telling you where the imperfection is, because this piece was for that prompt. If you look at the little blue house, you'll notice that there are 2 stitches between the windows and the edge of the house over here. But when you get to the door, there are 3. If you look at the pattern, there are only 2 between the door and the edge of the house. When I discovered that in stitching this morning, I realized that instead of leaving 5 spaces for the door inside this door casing, I only left 4. So I don't know how I did that, but guess what? It doesn't matter because the house turns out just fine. The footprint is the same. It doesn't push anything out of the way, and I'm just going to leave it that way. But it is an imperfection. It is not what the pattern calls for. The pattern calls for only 2. So my door will just be skinnier. Anyway, it's going to be fine, and I just went ahead with it. So that's the imperfection. I hope all of my imperfections are that easy to get by with. The other thing that I used this for, the other prompt, was that this was supposed to remind me of my home growing up. And none of these houses look like my house. I was in a ranch style house, all one floor, all one level, kind of flat and spread out. So it doesn't look like any of these houses. However, on this pattern, there is a beautiful weeping willow tree. And in my yard at home, my front yard, in fact, my mother had planted a weeping willow, and it grew to be huge by the time I was an adult, and it was full and beautiful. And I remember those branches just, flowing in the breeze all the time, and they were just so restful and beautiful, and it was one of my mom's favorite trees. And so when I see a weeping willow, I think of her and I think of my home. So that attracted me partially to this pattern when I first was picking something that I wanted to stitch to say, my home, my new home, my neighborhood. So between the 2 prompts, I did over 500 stitches today in that light blue and got it finished. So what I'll do next, I like to set little goals. What I'll do next is I'll finish that door, by doing the actual door, do the green across, and I will get started on that weeping willow. And I would love it if I could finish the weeping willow before I put it away next time. We'll see. That will be a lot of stitching, but I'm hoping that maybe it'll fit some prompts and I can work on it. So the other thing I wanted to share with you today, while I have a little bit of time, my little puppy dog is off to the park with her daddy. And I'll try to insert a picture here. When they got in the truck to go, he sent me a picture of her. She's looking very serious. She's a little miffed with us because she had surgery last week, and we haven't been able to let her run or jump. And that's been very, very difficult. So we're having to watch her very closely and keep her real close to us and try to keep her from jumping up and down on furniture like the couch or the bed. And it's been nearly impossible. She's still jumping, a little bit. She can get up there before we can get to her. So today, getting to go to the park for a long walk is a real treat, and she's pretty excited about it. So I'll put a picture in of her with her walking vest on, sitting in the truck on her way to the park. My husband snapped a picture before they pulled out of the driveway. He sent it to me. It's really cute. Okay. I wanted to talk about 10 and 20. Michelle, Farm Girl, has, as you know, last year did Complete 9 in 2019, or Stitch 9, I think is what she called it, and I participated in that, and I got all 9 of mine done, and I'm really excited that I had those finishes go into my total finishes from last year. So this year, she's recommending we pick 10 in 2020 and do 10 in 20. So I did. Some of these will not be a surprise to you. They're ones I've already announced that I want to finish this year, but I thought if I go ahead and put them in my 10 and 20, that gives me extra incentive, to go ahead. So here are mine. My first one is 12 Days by Jim Shore. I'm working diligently on finishing the cross stitch on that as quickly as I can. I don't know that I'll get the cross stitch finished in the month of January. I had hoped to get it finished during the 24 hours marathon, but I haven't had enough time to stitch. I've gotten in 15 hours now, but that's probably going to be close to what I get. I may get a few hours, maybe 1 or 2 this evening, but otherwise, it's not going to be anywhere near 24 this time. Just didn't have the availability to do that. But I would like to finish the cross stitching in that piece as soon as possible, because then I have a ton of back stitching to do. And there is a back stitching sale coming up, maybe in February. I'm not sure. I'll have to go look on my calendar. But that one, I'm marching along now, and I want to get it finished. Little House Neighborhood, which you just saw, I have slated to try to finish this year. And if I get that tree done on my next rotation of it, I will probably be safe in saying I'm halfway through. And so I think if I'm halfway through by the end of February, then hopefully I should be able to get the other half done by the end of the year. And then I went ahead and put Christmas Garden in here. Christmas Garden is a fairly new start, but I have identified it as one of my 3 pieces that I am doing my scavenger hunt on. And a scavenger hunt is one that we stitch 300 stitches to meet a prompt, and each prompt is something we have to take a picture of with our whip next to it, or you know, at least in the frame with it. So I put in here number 3 as Christmas Garden, and another one of my 10 and 20 is Friends, which is my full coverage piece of the Raggedy Ann and Andy dolls that was painted by Bob Timberlake, and that's a gift for my friend, and so I really do have to finish it by the end of the year. So this gives me extra incentive to do that. The next one, the 5th one that I am looking at, is Thankful Owl. Thankful Owl isn't even started yet, but it is a start for Mania, and it's a small piece, and I know I want to finish it so for this Thanksgiving. So I put it in my 10 and 20. Another one, the 6th one that I want to mention, is also a new start. I haven't started it yet, and it's Lovebirds. It's one you voted on, and you picked it as for my Valentine piece, and I very well may start it in February for Valentine's if I have enough finishes. So far, don't have any big things that'll be finished, but I have little things that I'm finishing, so I could substitute Lovebirds in there. If I don't start it in February, though, I have it slated for Mania to make sure I do get it started, and so I'm hoping to finish it in 2020 as well. And then I have smalls. I have one of my 3 little words that I'll be working on, Believe in Yourself. It's the final one, and I'm hoping to get it done in February. But this all starts on February the 1st, so that would be appropriate. You know, it would be within the time frame, and so I went ahead and put it in my 10 and 20 because I'm sure I can get it done. And then I thought, what other smalls do I have? And they're not started yet, but the series is started. And so I have put in my list 3 of the Hands-On Design 12 Days of Christmas ornaments for the year. So in a year's time, I would like to have stitched 5 gold rings, the 6 geese a-laying, and 7 swans a-swimming of those ornaments. And so they are the filling out of my 10 that I want to finish in 2020. So there you go. And the hashtag that we're going to use is hashtag Stitch 10 in 20. And you have to have your 10 posted on that event by February 1st. So if you haven't already, get it done and join the fun. So I wanted to tell you guys about that. Those are my plans. Those are my Stitch 10 and 20 plans, and I wanted to make them public, you know, hold myself accountable for it. I hope you're having a wonderfully relaxing day today, and I hope you're getting some stitching time in. I have enjoyed mine, and I hope to get some more. So I will be back to show you what I've been working on, hopefully very soon. Happy stitching, everyone. Good evening. Bye-bye. Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Dina, and I wanted to share with you a finish today. It is Monday. It is the 27th of January, and I have slid in one more. This is another one of Lizzy Kate's Three Little Words. This one says, dreaming is free, and then believe in miracles. So I love that one. I think that's really sweet. I did a bit of a conversion on this one, probably more so than I've done for others, because I didn't want all the words in brown. So I traded that out for a beautiful green. And then this blue-green doesn't look great next to the green that I used. So I used one of my favorite colors, pink. I love reds and pinks and purples. And so I changed it up. So this on mine is a little different. So here's my finish. Dreaming is free, believe in miracles. And I love it. I think it looks quite springish. I used all the colors in the key, where this one actually didn't use two of them. And I went ahead and inserted them. I used this one that wasn't called for in the pattern and this one that wasn't called for. So that's mine. I love the little butterflies. They're so delicate. Anyway, this is the next to the last one that I'm going to do. There is what they call a freebie that was a contest winner. And so I will be doing it last. And I'm going to make myself wait till February to do it because it's one of my 10 and 20 stitches. And so I don't want to start on it till then. Because once I start these, I just go ahead and finish them. I stitch till I finish them. I was very fortunate today to get to use this one for 3 or 4 prompts in my stitching because every 300 stitches I was meeting another prompt. So it worked out really well for me. I hope you're off to a good start this week. So February is almost upon us. Probably in an upcoming clip, I'll tell you February plans. But right now, I just want to go and record my finish in my journal, put it in my Stitch from Stash budget, upload a picture of it there, and decide what I'm going to start on next. I'll share it with you. Happy stitching, everyone. Have a great week. Good morning, Floss Tube. It's Dina, and I'm back for an update. It's the 29th of January, so it's Tuesday. And what you see in front of you here is the progress I have made on my Giggles in the Snow by Nora Corbett. I worked 351 stitches in this yesterday, and I finished up some of the background over here. This one I did, and this one I did, and this one I put the second color in. And then I came on around and I joined up to the coat here, and then I went back up in here and I filled in this coat and part of this border and the inside of the coat here. So pretty good progress for one session. I'm at the end of the month now, so I am trying to touch several whips. So today I am scheduled to put this away and pick up my Haid. So I'm going to do that now and see how much time I can eke out today to stitch on my Haid. Hope you're having a good day of stitching, and I'll check back in with you later. Bye! Well, hello you guys. Welcome back. This is Dina, and this is Wednesday still. It is the 29th of January. And I recorded just a little snippet this morning about my whip from yesterday. So tonight, I'm excited to show you what I've been working on today. My Haid. This is called A Real Snow Job, and it is a mini, and it's by Haid, and or charted by Heaven and Earth Design. The artwork is from Jane Wooster Scott, and I tell you what, it is lovely. I just love it. This was gifted to me by Marlene of Stitching by the Lake. So thanks again, Marlene. You were right when she gave this to me, she said, I know you said you'd never do a Haid, but this one has your name written all over it. And oh my gosh, she was right. I fell in love with it the minute I saw it. So I started in this upper corner up here, and I think I've shown it to you once, and that was after I had completed a couple of diagonals. Well, today I have completed my 4th diagonal. So I'm very excited to share that with you. And look how small that is. As much time as I spent stitching on this today, and that's all there is. I did 415 stitches in this today. Well, I'm excited. I want to tell you how I went about doing this. I am doing this on 25 count pre-gridded Lugana. I'm doing 1/1 full cross. It's the first time I've done any large amount of 1/1 stitching. The only other 1/1 stitching I have done actually is skin on a Mirabilia, so if that tells you anything. But I read and watched and listened to several people on FlossTube before I started this, and I did some test stitching and things like that before I decided what I wanted to do. And I watched Karen Bug of the Needlebug, and she really is a believer in doing the diagonals, but doing them one row at a time, and just taking that needle off that thread, parking it in the next row below, and just, you know, doing each stitch one symbol across, and then the next symbol across, and then the next symbol across until she has the whole row done, and then she goes to the next row. And I tried that in the very beginning, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to pull my hair out. I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I can't change my needle and thread that often. It drives me bonkers. So I decided that I would try the diagonal stitching, because I think that's a great way to keep from having lines in there. But I'm going to do cross country color completion in the diagonal. So I started doing that in the 2nd diagonal. Loved it. Did it better. So by the time I got to this one today, this was my strategy, and I would love some feedback from some of you about how you do it, especially if you have a better way than what I'm doing, because I'm very much a novice at this full coverage stuff. I decided to start by, when I started this diagonal, I started with all my parked threads. I took one at a time and I color completed it and parked it. And then I took the next closest parked thread, and I just worked my way from top to bottom all the way down. Might be better to do bottom to top. I don't know. Give me your opinion on that. But I just started it that way. And then I did something for me that made sense, but if you have some good tips, let me know. After I finished all my parked threads and had reparked them for the next column, I went back and I looked at my pattern and I picked the next colors that only had 1 or 2 or 3 symbols. In other words, the real small confetti pieces that are just 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, or just 2 in the whole diagonal, or 1 in the whole diagonal, and that's what I did next. And I got all those onesies and twosies out of the way. And so when I got to the last 2 colors, they were the 2 most frequently used symbols in that whole diagonal. And I did the least of those next, and then I saved the bulk of it to the end, because for one thing, everything left was that color, and there was a lot of it, so it went from the top all the way to the bottom. But the reason I did it, my rationale, my way of thinking, was that this is really tiny, and it has little stars in it. You can see the little flecks in there. So I was afraid if I waited and left any of those little bitty ones, you know, that have 1 or 2 or 3 here and there, hit and miss kind of things, open and not finished, not stitched, and I had done some of those that had a whole lot in them, I'd miss them. I think I was very much at risk to miss them. So instead, I did my park threads and got them out of the way. I did all the little numbers and then I went up. So the last one that I stitched, of course, was everything else in the column was that color, and there was a lot of it. So that went really quick. And that was kind of nice to end my column, in a big stitching, go. And so anyway, I'm excited that I completed another diagonal. Now, as the diagonals get larger for the page, that may be harder to do in one sitting. I'm sure, I know it will be. I won't be able to get a whole diagonal done in a sitting, but today went really well, and I didn't have as much trouble figuring out my park threads, what colors they were. I do think that on my next diagonal, when I start parking, I'm gonna do what I've seen some of y'all do and highlight where it's parked so that I know that's the color. I didn't have a highlighter handy when I was started today, so I didn't do that. But I think once I figure that out next time, I'll do that. So, because I think it'll help me to not have to count and look so hard to make sure I'm picking the right symbol for what that, for what that color's supposed to be. So there's my Haid. I had someone ask on my last video, when can we see your Haid? Well, there you go. It's not a whole lot to see, but that's what it is. Okay, I have another thing I want to share with you. I got the loveliest card from Cheryl McKinney today. I had participated in her Advent stitching where you stitch every day on, for I think it was 25 days of Advent. And I did stitch every day, and I reported on it. And she did a random name generator, a random number generator, and my name came up as, I think I was number 9 or something. Anyway, she had a little listing of items that you could choose. And so we went in the order that our name was chosen. And when I got to pick something I would like as my prize, she had something Christmas. So this is a heart in hand, and it's called We Angel. And it actually says, I believe in angels. And I do. And so this was precious to me, very sweet. So thank you, Cheryl, and thank you for your card. I appreciate it. Thank you for all you do in your group. It's a lovely group. I enjoy being in there. It's a privilege. I hope you have a great start to February, because my next video probably won't be until then, and I'll catch up with you then. Happy stitching. Bye. Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Dina. It is Thursday. It is January the 30th. So I am going to use my random number generator and pick the lucky recipients for the 3 patterns that I'm giving away for my 3-year anniversary. Let me first thank each and every one of you for the comments, for the congratulations, and for participating in my celebration. So the first, let me just remind you of the 3 patterns that we're drawing for today. The first one is, this is my happy place, which most of you described your happy place as either with your family or in your stitching room, or both. Stitching with your family. That was wonderful. And then the Glendon Place pattern, Simply Love, which you can see up there. It'll be out for the whole month of February, at least for Valentine's Day. So I'm very happy about that. And Seaside Kingdom, my Mirabilia that I'm going to give away. Now, the Simply Love pattern is coming with my leftover silks, but the others don't have threads associated with them. But I'll send you some goodies. You know that. Oh, look who's here. Hey, hey, what you need? You want to play? Well, let's see if we can get this done before I get summoned to play. I'm going to flip you around and do the random number generator, and I'll announce the lucky winners. If you will, I'll put my email address below, and I'll ask that you email me your mailing address so I can send the package out. Okay, here's the random number generator, and we'll start with the first one. This is my happy place. There were 62 people that were interested in This Is My Happy Place. So we will now generate, and that number is 9. And number 9 is Joanne Bernal, or Bernal. Joanne, I will put a comment on your comment, and if you could email me your mailing address, then I'll be able to get this happy place pattern out to you. Okay, the next one we're going to do is the Simply Love. And for Simply Love, there are 64 people interested. So we will generate 59. Number 59 is Tamala Donaldson. Tamala Donaldson, you're the lucky winner of the Simply Love pattern. There's Simply Love. And if you will email me your mailing address, then I can send that out to you, and I would be happy to do so. Well, let me get it again. Okay, 34. Finally, it moved. Number 34 is Libby Stitches. Libby Stitches, you are the lucky recipient to Seaside Kingdom. Again, if you'll email me your mailing address, I'll be able to get these patterns out to you, and I thank you all for participating. What's the matter? Did Daddy leave? Did Daddy leave? Yeah, did Daddy leave? You ready to take a nap? Oh no. Take a nap, baby.